At 5 o'clock every morning, before the roasters in Umuoba village began their noisy competition, Adane was already awake. She would lie quietly on the tin mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling above her, listening to familiar sounds of her mother coughing from the next room. One cough, then another, then several more. Adane would close her eyes and whisper the same prayers she had whispered almost every morning for the past 6 years. God, please, help my mom to live long enough to enjoy the things I'm working for. She was 26 years old, the first child of four children, and for as long as she could remember, she had carried responsibilities that seemed too heavy for someone of her age. Her father had died when she was 19 years. He had not left behind houses, nor businesses, nor any savings. Rather, he had left behind a wife, four children, a small unfinished building, and lots of debts. Adane had been the one who stepped forward. Her younger brother Kelechi was still in secondary school. Her sister Somto had just entered senior secondary. The youngest, Chisom, was only 8 years old, and their mother, Mama Nkiru, had developed a serious medical condition that required regular treatment. After her father's burial, relatives gathered around the family compound and spoke with sympathy. Things will get better. Don't worry, God will provide. But when everyone went home, Adane knew the truth. Nobody was coming to save them. If the family was going to survive, someone had to carry them, and that someone became her. She had finished school with hope of becoming a fashion designer. She loved fabrics, colors, and beautiful clothes. She dreamed of opening a boutique one day, but dreams became luxury when there was no food. She learned to sew. She hawked products whenever she had the opportunity. Sometimes she would return home with barely enough money to buy a plate of food. Yet, whenever she had 5,000 naira, she would find a way to divide it. 3,000 for Kelechi needs, 1,000 for mama drugs, 1,000 for food. She would tell herself that next week would be better, but next week often looked exactly like the previous one. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Her mother's elder brother came from Lagos. I have spoken with someone, he told her. There is a woman in Dubai looking for hard-working people to help her in clothing business. Adhane became silent. Dubai? Yes. The salary was several times what she could earn at home. The work would be difficult, the hours would be long, but if she can endure for a few years, she could save enough money to change her family's situation. That night, Adane could not sleep. She sat beside her mother. Mommy, yes, my daughter, I want to travel. The mother stared at her. Travel to where? Dubai. Mama Nkiru immediately shook her head. No, Mommy, I said no. Your father is gone. You are the only person helping me. If you leave, who will take care of this family? Adane smiled sadly. That is exactly why I must go. Her mother looked confused. I don't want to spend the rest of my life struggling for small money. I want to work hard somewhere I can actually save. I want to pay your hospital bills. I want Kelechi to finish school. I want Somto to go to the university. I want Chisom to grow up without knowing what poverty feels like. Her voice broke. And when I return, I will start my own business. Mama Nkiru looked at her daughter for a long time. What business? A supermarket. A supermarket? She asked. Yes, Mama. A big one. Something that can sustain me when I return. Her mother smiled. You always dream big. I have to. 2 months later, Adane left Nigeria. At the airport, her mother held her tightly. Don't forget us, she said. Adane laughed through her tears. How could I forget you? Her younger siblings surrounded her. Kelechi promised to study hard. Somto promised to take care of their mother. Little Chisom cried because she did not understand why the sister had to leave. Adani knelt before her. I will come back. When? She asked. Soon. How soon? Adani smiled. When I have enough money to build our supermarket. Chisom hugged her. Promise. I promise. That promise cost Adani almost everything. Dubai was nothing like the beautiful pictures Adani had seen online. The city was bright though. The buildings were magnificent. The roads were clean. Luxury cars moved through the streets, but behind the glittering towers was a life of exhaustion that nobody had warned her about. She worked in a clothing warehouse during the day. She sorted clothes, packed orders, carried boxes, cleaned. Sometimes she worked 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours. On particularly busy days, she barely had time to sit. Her accommodation was shared with several other women. The room was small, the kitchen was cramped, privacy was almost non existent. But Adane did not complain. Every night she would transfer money home. Her first salary disappeared within days. Her mother needed medication. Kelechi needed school fees. Somto needed textbook. Chisom needed uniform. There were household bills, food, medical appointments, and unexpected expenses that seemed to arrive every month. Her friend Amara watched her send another transfer one evening. How much are you leaving for yourself? She asked. Adane looked at the money in her account. Enough. How much? Adane hesitated. Maybe 50 dirhams. Amara stared at her. That's not enough for the month. I will manage. You always say that. Adane smiled. My family needs it more. That became her lifestyle. Whenever her salary arrived, she sent money home. When her mother needed surgery, Adane sent almost everything she had saved. When Kelechi entered university, she paid his bill. When Somto needed accommodation, Adane paid. When Chisom school demanded a new laptop, Adane found a way to buy one. When the family roof began leaking, Adane paid for repairs. When their electricity meter was disconnected, Adane paid the bills. When relatives came asking for help, her mother would say, Don't worry, Adane will send something. And Adane always did. Even when she couldn't afford it, even when she was sick, even when she had not eaten properly, even when her shoes were worn out, she kept giving. 6 months became 1 year. 1 year became two. Two became three. By the fourth year, Adane had completely forgotten what it felt like to spend money on herself. She had never bought an expensive handbag. She had never traveled for vacation. She rarely went out. She wore the same few clothes repeatedly. Whenever Amara invited her shopping, she would laugh. I don't need anything, she replied. You are working for yourself too. My family comes first, she said. That sentence became her shade. In the fifth year, Adane began sending money specifically for one purpose, the supermarket. She had drawn the plan herself. She wanted a large modern building near the main road in their hometown. The ground floor would be the supermarket. There would be shelves filled with food, drinks, household products, cosmetics, and other goods. She wanted a small office upstairs, and beside the supermarket, she planned to build a modest apartment for herself. Nothing extravagant, just a comfortable place where she could finally come home and rest. She sent the first major amount to her younger brother, Kelechi. Just keep this money separate for the supermarket. Yes, sister. Don't worry, sister. I will take care of everything. She trusted him. Then she sent more and more. Every month she asked, How is the building? It's going well. Have you bought the roofing material? Yes, sister. Have you paid the workers? Yes. Send me pictures. Kelechi always had an excuse. The network is bad. The phone camera isn't working. I will send them tomorrow. Adane never suspected anything. Sometimes, when she was exhausted from working, she would lie in bed and imagine herself standing inside the supermarket. She imagined shelves, bright lights, customers, a sign above the entrance, Adanne's supermarket. She imagined her mother sitting in a comfortable chair near the entrance. She imagined Kelechi managing the business, Somto handling the accounts, Chisom helping during holidays. She imagined herself finally living with her family. That dream kept her alive. During the sixth year, she began planning to return. I'm coming home, she told her mother. Her mother became emotional. My daughter, you have suffered enough. Adania smiled. It was worth it. Your supermarket is almost ready. Yes, Mama, everything is waiting for you. Those words warmed her heart. She worked even harder during her final months. She wanted to return home with enough money to stock the supermarket. She saved every coin she could. She skipped meal. She stopped buying anything unnecessary. Her colleagues could not understand her. You are going home after 6 years, Amara told her. At least buy yourself something nice. Adane laughed. I will buy everything when I get home. You deserve it. My reward is going home. And she believed it. 6 years after she left Nigeria, Adane finally returned. She stood at the airport with two large suitcases and a heart full of hope. She had imagined this moment hundreds of times. She expected her family to come running. She expected hugs. She expected tears. She expected her mother to hold her and say, My daughter, welcome home. But when she walked through the arrival door, she saw only one person, a distant cousin. Where is everybody? The cousin looked uncomfortable. They couldn't come. Adane laughed. They couldn't come. My mother, she's at home. Kelechi, busy. Somto, I think she had somewhere to go. Adane's smile slowly disappeared. Chisom, the cousin looked away. She's also at home. Adane tried not to think too much about it. Maybe they were preparing something. They wanted to welcome her at home. She entered the car, but as they drove towards her hometown, something felt wrong. The streets looked different. Buildings had appeared where there used to be empty land. Shops lined on the road. Then they turned into streets. Adane leaned forward. Stop. The car slowed. She looked at the window. The building she had spent 6 years paying for stood in front of her, but it did not look like a supermarket. It looked like a finished commercial house, beautiful, large, painted, with huge sign hanging above it. Adane's heart jumped. They finished it, she smiled. Look at it. The cousin said nothing. Adane looked closer. Her smile vanished. The sign did not say Adane Supermarket. It said Kevin Global Mint. Adane stared at it. Who is Kelvin? The cousin remained silent. Who is Kelvin? I don't know. Stop the car. She stepped out. She walked towards the building. A young man came out. Adane recognized him. It was Kelechi, her younger brother. He was wearing expensive clothes, a gold-colored wristwatch, designer sneakers. He looked nothing like the boy she had left behind. Sister, Adane stared at him. Kelechi. He hugged her, but the hug felt strange, short, focused. She pushed him back. What is this? What? The supermarket. He smiled. Oh, you called it Kevin Global Mint? Yes. Why? He looked away. I wanted to give it a modern name. Adane laughed nervously. No, that's not what I mean. She pointed at the building. This is the supermarket I sent money for. Yes. Then why is my name not on it? Kelechi's expression changed. Sister, let's talk inside. No, she stared at him. Let's talk here and now. People nearby began watching. Adane lowered her voice. Where is my mother? She is inside. Take me to her. Mama Nkiru was sitting in a luxury chair inside the building. She looked healthier than Adane expected. Older, yes, but healthy. comfortable, and strangely distant. Mommy, she looked up. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, Mama Nkiru stood. My daughter. Adane rushed towards her. They hugged. Adane cried, but her mother did not. You are welcome home, Mama Nkiru said. Yes, Adane wiped her tears. Mommy, I've missed you so much. Her mother nodded. Adane looked around. This place is beautiful. Silence. Mommy, yes? I thought we were going to call it Adane Supermarket. Her mother's face became uncomfortable. Kelechi changed the name. Why? It is his business now. Adane froze. What? Her mother sat down. Kelechi have been running this place for almost 2 years. Adane looked at Kelechi. Running what? The supermarket. My supermarket? Nobody answered. She laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh someone make when reality becomes too painful to accept. Mommy, I sent money for this. We know. I sent it for us. Yes, I sent it so I could return and start my life. Mama Nkiro looked down. My daughter, no. Adane's voice trembled. Don't call me that yet. Answer me. Her mother remained silent. Where is my money? Kelechi stepped forward. I invested it. Adane turned towards him. You invested it? Yes. In what? This supermarket. This supermarket. Yes. Then why isn't it mine? Kelechi took a breath. Because I was the one who built it. Adane stared at him. With whose money? Kelechi said nothing. With whose money, Kelechi? He finally replied. Some of it came from you. Some? Kelechi's voice rose. I sent you almost everything I earn. I know. I paid for the land, yes. I paid for construction, yes. I paid for roofing, yes. I also paid for the chef. We know. I paid for electricity installation. We agree. I paid for opening the stock. Kelechi looked away. Adane felt something inside her collapse. So, what exactly did you contribute? He did not answer. She turned towards her mother. Mommy, tell him. Her mother remained quiet. Mommy, I don't want problem. Adane stepped backward. You don't want problem? She pointed at herself. I spent 6 years working until my body was exhausted. She pointed at her mother. I paid your hospital bills. She pointed at Kelechi. I paid your school fees. Then she looked towards the doorway. Where is Somto? Nobody answered. Where is Chisom? Still nothing. Adane suddenly felt afraid. Where are my sisters? Kelechi sighed. Sister, sit down, please. No. Let's talk calmly. I have been calm for 6 years. Her voice cracked. Today, I want answers. Somto eventually returned. She stepped into the building wearing an expensive outfit, carrying a designer handbag. Adane stared at her. Somto? Her sister stopped. Sister, you knew? Somto looked at Kelechi, then at their mother. What did you know? Somto swallowed. The supermarket. Adane shook her head. Not the supermarket. She pointed at the floor. Everything. Somto looked uncomfortable. What everything, sister? The money. How much did I send home? Somto said nothing. I said, how much? Answer me. I'm not sure, sister. Adane laughed bitterly. You are not sure? She walked closer. You are the person I trusted to keep record. Somto lowered her voice. I didn't keep record, sister. Why? I was busy. Busy doing what? Somto's eyes filled with tears. Living, of course. That single word cut deeper than any insult. Adane stared at her. Living? Yes, I was working, Somto cried. I didn't ask you to sacrifice anything. No. Adane nodded. You didn't ask. She looked around. But every time you needed something, who did you call? Somto did not answer. Every time Mama needed treatment. Every time Kelechi needed money. Every time there was a problem. Nobody spoke. Adane slowly sat down. Her legs were trembling. Where did my money go? Kelechi finally spoke. Some of it went into the supermarket, and the rest, he hesitated. Family expenses. What family expenses? Food, medical bill, school fees, repairs. That's where the money went to. Then, why does nobody have anything? Kelechi looked uncomfortable. Adane looked around. There were expensive chairs, new phone, large television, air conditioner, a huge fridge, a brand new car parked outside. Then she looked at her brother, Kelechi. Where did you get the car? He didn't answer. She turned to Somto. Where did you get that phone? Somto remained quiet. Adane looked at her mother. Mommy, what happened to my family? Her mother started crying, but Adane could no longer tell whether the tears were genuine. That night, Adane returned to the family house. Her childhood bed looked almost untouched. The old wooden wardrobe was still there. The faded curtains were still hanging, but the rest of the house had changed. There were new ties, new furniture, a large television, new appliances. Everything looked expensive. She opened the wardrobe. Inside was an old dress she had worn before traveling. She touched it. 6 years. She had left as a young woman with nothing. She had returned expecting to finally leave. Instead, she felt like a stranger in her own home. Around midnight, she heard voices outside the room, Kelechi, Somto, and their mother. Adane quietly opened the door. I told you she would eventually find out, Somto said. Kelechi answered, she doesn't know anything. What are you going to do? Nothing. What do you mean by nothing? She has no proof. Adane froze. Her heart began beating fast. No proof of what? The room became quiet. Kelechi's voice came again. Keep your voice down, Somto whispered. She will destroy everything. Adane slowly opened the door. Destroy what? They turned. Nobody spoke. She walked towards them. What were you talking about? Kelechi stood. Nothing. I heard you. You misunderstood us. I heard you say I have no proof. Proof of what? Nobody answered. Adane looked at her mother. Mommy. Her mother began crying. Mommy, don't cry. Just tell me the truth. Her mother covered her face. Kelechi stepped forward. Sister, there are things you don't understand. Then explain. You sent money. Yes, we used it. But not all of it was for the supermarket. Adane stared at him. Then what was it for? He hesitated. Family. Which family? You know. She shook her head. No, I don't know anymore. Then Kelechi said the word that broke something inside her. The money belonged to all of us. Adane stared at him. All of us? Yes. So after working 12 hours a day, eating barely enough to survive, I was earning for everyone. Yes, sister. And when I sent money for my future, that also belonged to everyone. Kelechi looked down. Yes, sister. She laughed softly. So my life now belongs to everybody too? No one answered. She nodded slowly. I understand now. She walked back into her room. She didn't sleep. She spent the entire night staring at the ceiling. For the first time in 6 years, she asked herself a question she had been afraid to ask. What if my family never loved me for me? The following morning, Adane went to the supermarket. She found an old office upstairs. There were documents scattered across the desk. She began looking through them: land documents, construction receipts, bank statements, supplier invoice. Then she saw something: a document with her name. Her heart stopped. She picked it up. The land had originally been purchased using her money. But the ownership had been registered under Kelechi's name. She read it again, then again. Her hand began shaking. Another document: the supermarket business registration, Kelechi's name. Another: the building permit, Kelechi's name. And another: the business account, still Kelechi's name. Everything. She had paid for the dream, but someone else had quietly taken ownership of it. She sat down. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Then she found something even worse, a transfer record. Money had been withdrawn from the account she had created, specifically from the supermarket. Large amounts, one after another. Some had gone towards luxury purchase, some towards car, some towards personal investment. Some had been transferred to another account. She stared at the record. Her family had not simply spent her money, they had systematically built their own lives with it. While she was surviving on almost nothing, her phone rang. It was Amara. Are you okay? Adanne could not speak. Adanne, finally, she whispered. I was a fool. What happened? Amara asked. I thought I was building a future. Amara became quiet. Then she said, what did you build? Adanne looked through the office window at the supermarket downstairs. I built theirs. Adanne returned home that evening with the documents. She placed them on the table. Everyone was present. Her mother, Kelechi, Sumto. She looked at them one by one. I want everyone to listen. I don't want excuses. She placed the first document down. This is the land. Then another, the building, the business, the money. Kelechi's face changed. You went through my documents, your documents, and Daniel laughed. That's exactly the problem. She looked at him. They were never yours. Kelechi stood. You can't just come back after 6 years and start demanding everything. Adane stared at him, demanding. Yes, this is what I worked for. It became family property. No. She shook her head. You decided that without me. Kelechi's voice became louder. You abandoned this family. The room went silent. Adane looked at him in disbelief. Abandon? Yes, you call 6 years of spending money abandonment? You were not here. I was working. You chose to leave. I left because there was nothing here. Kelechi shouted. And we were surviving without you. Adane became completely still. Then she smiled. A painful smile. Now I understand. You really believe you survived without me. Kelechi said nothing. Adane picked up her phone. I have every transfer. She placed it on the table. Every month, another file. Every medical bill. Every school fees payment, every construction payment. She looked at them. For 6 years, I documented everything. Kelechi's face became pale. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. She stood. You took my sacrifice and called it family property. Then she looked at her mother. And you allowed it. Her mother's tears fell. My daughter, I'm sorry. Adane's voice softened. Mommy, yes, you were the one person I never expected to betray me. Her mother covered her face. I was afraid. Afraid of what? That if I opposed Kelechi, the family would break. Adane shook her head. No, mommy. She wiped her tears. The family broke when everyone decided my sacrifice belonged to them. Adane thought it was over. The next morning, she received a phone call from a lawyer. Are you Adane Wosu? Yes. There is a matter concerning the supermarket property. What matter? You need to come to the office. She went immediately. The lawyer placed a document before her. Her heart sank. Kelechi had sold part of the property without her permission. He had collected money from an investor, and according to the document, the property legally belonged to him. Adane stared at the lawyer. But I paid for this. The lawyer nodded. I believe you. Then why can't I claim it? Because the documents were registered in his name. She leaned back. 6 years. 6 years of suffering. 6 years of sacrifice. 6 years of hunger. 6 years of sending money. 6 years of dreaming. And now she had returned to discover that legally she had almost nothing. The lawyer looked at her sympathetically. Do you have evidence of the transfer? Yes, I do. Receipt? Yes. Messages? Yes. Bank statements? Yes. Then don't give up. For the first time since returning, Adane felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe she had not lost everything. Maybe justice was still possible. But before she could begin the legal battle, another truth came out. The investor who had purchased part of the property was not a stranger. It was their mother's younger brother, the same uncle who had helped Adane travel abroad 6 years earlier, the same uncle who had promised to protect the family. He had known everything. He had participated in the deception. Adane sat in the lawyer office, staring at the documents. Then she whispered, "Everyone knew." For the first time in 6 years, Adane stopped sending money. No transfer, no emergency payment, no more solving everybody's problem. Her phone became strangely quiet. The same people she had called every week suddenly had little to say. Her brother stopped calling. Her sister became distant. Her mother cried whenever they spoke. But Adane remained firm. She began the legal process. She gathered every receipt, every transfer confirmation, every message, every voice note, every photograph, every construction payment, every school fees, every medical bill. She gathered everything. She discovered that over 6 years, she had sent home far more than she had even realized. Money that could have bought her a house, money that could have started several businesses, money that could have given her a comfortable life. She had given it all away, not because she was foolish, because she loved them. That distinction became important, but she had not failed. She had trusted the wrong people, and trust was not a crime. Weeks later, the entire extended family gathered. Uncles, aunts, cousins, everybody came. Kelechi sat at one end of the room. Adane sat at the other. The family elder cleared their throat. "We are here to settle this matter peacefully." Adane nodded. "I also want peace. Then you must forgive your brother." She looked at him. "I can forgive him." Everyone relaxed. Forgiveness doesn't mean surrendering what belongs to me. The room became quiet. She opened a folder. "I don't want revenge." She looked at Kelechi. "I don't want you imprisoned." She looked at her mother. "I don't want you to suffer." Then at Sumto, "I don't want my siblings to become enemies." But she placed the document on the table. "I want the truth." She explained everything: the money, land, building, the supermarket, the withdrawals, the secret transaction, the false ownership. By the time she finished, even the elders were silent. Finally, the oldest uncle turned towards Kelechi. "Is everything she said true?" Kelechi lowered his head. "Yes." A collective gasp filled the air. The uncle closed his eyes. "How could you do this to your sister?" Kelechi began crying. "I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That she could return and take everything." Adane stared at him. "I built it for myself. I built it for the family. I trusted you." Kelechi cried harder. "I know." She shook her head. "No, you don't." She stood. "You don't know what it means to trust someone when you are thousands of kilometers away. You don't know what it means to wake up every morning knowing that your family depends on you. You don't know what it means to skip meals because your mother needs medicine. You also don't know what it means to send your last money home and then sleep hungry." She wiped her tears. "You don't know what it means to spend 6 years believing that the people you are sacrificing for are protecting your dreams." Nobody moved. Then she said the sentence that broke the room. "I did not lose my money." She looked at them. "I lost my family." The legal battle continued for months. Eventually, the evidence became impossible to ignore. The court recognized Adane's financial contribution. The property dispute was dissolved. Kelechi was forced to surrender control of the portion he had built entirely with Adane's fund. The supermarket was transferred into her name, but by then, something inside Adane had changed. She no longer wanted the life she had imagined 6 years earlier. She had once dreamed of bringing everyone into the business. Now she understood that boundary was not cruelty, they were protection. She renovated the supermarket. She changed the name. The old sign came down, and a new one built up. At her next month and home, she stocked it with groceries, household products, cosmetics, beverages, clothes, and other essentials. She hired workers, she opened a proper business account, she employed accountants, she created clear contracts. No family member would control the business without documented responsibility. No one could have access to the accounts simply because they share her blood. Her mother came to the opening ceremony. She stood outside the supermarket with tears in her eyes. My daughter, Adane turned. Yes, mommy, I'm proud of you. Adane smiled sadly. Thank you. Her mother hesitated, then said, will you ever forgive us? Adane looked at the beautiful building. I already have. Her mother smiled through her tears. Then, why do you still keep us distance? Adane took a breath. Because forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. Her mother looked down. I understand. I hope you do, Mama. Kelechi's life changed completely. Without the supermarket, his expensive lifestyle collapsed. The car was sold. The expensive apartment was gone. The friends who had surrounded him disappeared. The people who had praised him when he looked successful stopped calling. He eventually found himself working for another business. One evening, he visited Adani. She was sitting in her office. He stood at the door. Sister, she looked up. Kelechi, I need to apologize. She nodded. I'm listening. He sat down. I thought you would never return. Why will you think such? She asked. Because 6 years is a long time. You thought I have forgotten? I thought you had built a new life. I was building one. He looked down. I became selfish. I was jealous. I thought you had more than enough. Adane sighed. I never had enough. I know now, he said. Then he began crying. I destroyed everything. Adane shook her head. You didn't destroy everything. He looked up. You destroyed my trust. She paused. But you didn't destroy me. Kelechi wiped his face. Can I ever make it right? You can't give me back 6 years. I know. You can't give me back the nights I spent hungry. You can't give me back the years I spent believing everything was safe. Then, don't try to buy forgiveness. What should I do? Change. He nodded. I will, sister. For the first time, Adane believed him, not because he had promised, but because she no longer needed his promise. Years passed. Adane's supermarket became one of the most successful businesses in the area. It expanded. She opened another branch, then another. She eventually created jobs for young people like her who had once struggled to find opportunity. She never forgot where she came from, but she never again confused love with unlimited sacrifice. Her mother lived comfortably. Adane paid for her treatment and ensured she had everything she needed, but she no longer handed her family unrestricted to her finance. Somto eventually graduated and became an accountant. Kelechi slowly rebuilt his life. Chisom became a teacher. The family was never exactly the same, but perhaps that was not always a bad thing because Adane finally understood something. Sometimes a family does not break because someone stopped giving. Sometimes it breaks because people become so accustomed to receiving that they forget the person who is giving is also human. One evening, 6 years after returning home, Adane stood outside her supermarket. The sun was setting, the streets were busy, customers walked in and out. Her employees were closing the day account. She looked at the sign above the building, Adane Mets and home. She smiled. 6 years ago, she had left Nigeria with one suitcase. She had left with a promise. She had promised her mother she would return. She had promised her siblings she would build a future. She had promised herself that her sacrifice would change their lives. It had, but not in the way she expected. Her sacrifice had taught her the difference between love and exploitation, between generosity and self neglect, between family and entitlement. And most importantly, it had taught her that she could love people without destroying herself for them. A little girl who worked at the supermarket approached her. Auntie Adanne, can I ask you something? Of course. Is it true you built this place yourself? Adanne smiled. I had help. From who? She looked at the building, then at the sunset. From the strongest version of myself. The girl smiled. Were you always strong? Adanne laughed softly. No. She looked towards the road. I became strong because I had no choice. The girl thought for a moment. Were you angry? Adanne nodded. Very. Are you still angry? She smiled. No. Why? Because anger cannot give me back the years I lost. What did you do instead? Adanne looked at the supermarket. I built something better. The girl smiled and ran back inside. Adanne remained outside. The evening breeze moved across her face. She thought about the young woman who had left 6 years earlier, the same woman who believed that family meant giving. This woman knew better. Family meant love, but love without boundary could become a prison. A sacrifice without appreciation could become destruction. Adane has spent 6 years building a future for people who had secretly taken ownership of her dreams. But when they betrayed her, they unknowingly gave her the greatest gift of all. They forced her to finally build a life that belongs to her. And this time, nobody could take it away. The